Welcome to the Juggernaut Duo assembly instruction video. This video features the Alter Duo. If you have the Classic or Hub Duo, you may notice some slight differences in the process. Before you get started, you'll need to unpack the small box which contains tools and additional parts. Inside you'll find the pedals, the headlight, an Allen or hex key multi-tool, a 15mm wrench, the battery charger, and an instruction manual. Step 1. Mounting the handlebars. For this step, you'll need the hex key multi-tool and the stem bolt plug, which can be found in the bag with the tools. First, spin the stem 180 degrees so that it is facing forwards. Now you can remove the stem faceplate by loosening all 4 bolts with the 4mm hex key. Once the faceplate is removed, pick up the handlebars and put them in place. The horizontal markings indicate the center on the handlebars. Center those markings on the stem, then reinstall the faceplate so that it clamps the handlebars in place. Thread all 4 bolts in loosely, then tighten them in an X pattern so that the faceplate clamps down on the handlebars evenly on all sides. Next, you can tighten the headset bolt with the 5mm hex key. It is important to get the correct amount of torque on this bolt. If there's play in the headset, it's too loose. If your steering feels stiff, it's too tight. Once it's snug, put the protective rubber cap in place. Make sure to double check that the headset bolt is tightened correctly before taking the bike out for a ride. Finally, make sure the handlebars are aligned with the forks, then tighten the stem bolts with the 4mm hex key. Step 2. Installing the front wheel. For this step, you need the quick release through axle and the front wheel. This part can be a little tricky, so you may want someone to help you. Before you start, make sure the quick release through axle is within reach. Using one hand to lift up the bike, slowly roll the wheel into place. The disc brake needs to slide between the brake pads, and the hole in the middle of the wheel needs to line up with the holes at the bottom of the fork. With the wheel in position, insert the quick release through axle. Once inserted all the way, it will hold the wheel in place. At this point, you can take a moment to put the kickstand down. Come back to the through axle and screw it into the threads on the other side of the fork. Then, close the quick release clamp to lock the wheel in place. If you find the clamp is too hard to push down, loosen the through axle half a turn and try again. You should feel resistance as the clamp moves past the halfway point. Step 3. Installing the pedals. For this step, you'll need the pedals and the 15mm wrench. Note that there are left and right pedals. The right pedal has standard threads, while the left pedal has reverse threads. You can determine which pedal is which by the L and R markings. Begin to thread the pedal into the crank with your hands. Once it's hand tightened, finish tightening the pedal with a 15mm wrench. The process is the same on the other side of the bike, except that the left pedal has reverse threads. You'll need to turn it counterclockwise to thread it in. When you're ready, tighten it up with the 15mm wrench. Step 4. Installing the front fender and headlight. For this step, you'll need the front fender, headlight, and fender hardware which can be found in the headlight bag, as well as the hex key multi-tool. Slide the fender into place from the back of the wheel. Position the headlight in between the fender mounting plate and the fork. When all the holes are lined up, take the largest of the 3 bolts, insert it through the fender and headlight, and thread it into the fork. Leave it loose for the moment. Next, you can mount the fender stays. For this, you'll need the 2 smaller bolts. Secure the fender stay to the mounting point at the bottom of the fork. You can tighten this bolt with the 4mm hex key. Repeat the same process on the other side of the bike. Once the fender stay bolts are tightened, you can go back to the top bolt and tighten it with the 5mm hex key. Make sure to hold the headlight straight as you finish tightening the top bolt. If your fender is rubbing on the wheel, you can adjust the fender stays. To do this, you'll need the 3mm hex key, which is not included with the bike. Simply loosen the fender stay adjustment bolts on each side and reposition the fender by extending the stays. Then, retighten the bolts to lock the fender in place. If you don't have the 3mm hex key, you can also try bending the stays either way to reposition the fender. Finally, plug in the headlight connector. That covers the assembly process for the Juggernaut Duo series. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out to our customer experience team. They'll be happy to help.